Here we are at what is referred to as Big Junction, the final stop in North Carolina before Tennessee on Highway 123. Essentially, it is the second sighted stop that appears on most maps in North Carolina going west on the Cherohala Skyway. On this episode, we are going to be taking the Skyway right up to the Tennessee border. In fact, here I am, standing on the Tennessee and North Carolina state line. Though, I kind of got to keep my feet away from the Tennessee state line. That's not exactly in Big Junction. That site is wholly in North Carolina. Regardless, we are going to be going up here. That's as far as we're going to be going today on the Skyway. Right now, though, I am over down here, not all that far to go. Big Junction. It gets to be documented in the Let's Explore This collection due to its inclusion in the Roadside Thoughts Gazetteer as a distinct community. On most maps, though, it is listed as a mountain peak and not as a distinct community or town site. I suspect there might be a reason that it has come to be listed on that gazetteer as a community. With a name like Big Junction, it could have been the site of an old railroad or logging road junction, maybe. However, good luck finding any information on it. Researching Big Junction and the immediate area, the closest places having anything that could be considered a kind of community appears to be a mile or two north, at about this parking lot here. Well, not this lot exactly, but close by enough, like a mile or two, maybe a bit more, in that direction to the northeast. This lot here, though, it does provide an overlook of the area, 'cause a hike to Bob Stratton Bald, that is not going to be in my itinerary on this episode. It is not the exact site in question. No, that exact site, it is Big Junction. However, if Bob Stratton Bald was in fact close enough to the exact site, then yes, I would have to make some time to get myself there, or at least try to. But you know what? This area, it may not be all that far from the site featured on the historic sketch that will soon ensue. Stratton Gap and Stratton Meadows may in fact refer to a much larger area than that of simply Bob Stratton Bald, as this map here sort of tends to show. The site pointed to on this map, Stratton Gap or Stratton Meadows, actually puts me at this intersection here with North River Road. Okay, so apparently North River Road, it is closed. I wonder why. I wonder where this road goes all the way down there. And why is it called River Road? What river does it follow? Apparently, though, it runs through the Cherokee Wildlife Management Area, maintained, I guess, by the Cherokee National Forest and the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. It's a federal aid project, or so we're led to believe. But I mean, it's closed. But why? What kind of things go on down there? Inquiring minds want to know. Anyway, this here is a photo of the Swan Cabin. It is provided via a website called DW Hike. Photos of the cabin are included along with this description. Now, a couple of photos are all you are going to see. Sure, It would be nice to visit this cabin, but as this map clearly shows, it is a good distance from the Skyway, and as that description notes, it is only reachable by gnarly roads. And so, because I am not going to be visiting this cabin, I'm not going to delve all that much into its history. However, the Graham Star, a kind of local newspaper, had a little write up on it and the family that built it in 2021. It's called Swan Stories, and it is something that you can read on your own time. Now, given this description, I am not sure I want to be taking my car over there. Secondly, not sure if I would even have the time today to do much wandering around. A bit of a ways past the site of Big Junction, though, but between Big Junction and Stratton Gap, you will find this. It is an old four-wheel drive road. Now, you know how I know that? Well, it says so right here on this sign. Now, you know how it is. As stated many times, my time is limited. And this is one of those episodes where I don't really have the time to do much extra exploring. However, you can always come down here and do that on your own time. And if you want, you can read this sign. It talks about a site that I'm not really going to cover, a site called Wig Meadow. I will let you read it as much as you want. But apparently, it is part of the Benton McKay Trail. Again, folks, on this episode, I am not going to be exploring or even talking about this trail. But that doesn't mean you cannot read a little bit about it. And there's even some stuff here about the perilous times of the Civil War. The bushwhackers, though, I will briefly talk about them near the end of this episode. Well, sort of. I have some info, something that I will let you read, but that's for later. And now, back to Stratton Bald. The website for the Cherohala Skyway does hold some information on Stratton Bald. First, there does appear to be some discrepancy as to whether or not the name should be Stratton or Strutton. Since the name of the Bald, Gap, and Meadow is often written as Stratton, I am simply going to refer to all characters here as having the name of Stratton. And Absalom Stratton, he was born in 1772 in North Wilkesboro. He died on August 8th of 1852, probably in Tennessee. He married Darcus Sherman on October 25th of 1806 in Wilkes County. According to a story related by a Stratton researcher, Absalom was visiting his son John, who lived at Stratton Meadow in a big two-story log house, about 200 yards inside Tennessee. Yes, here I am close to the border. Absalom, he ended up getting sick, and he, as well as others in his family, knew he was going to die. Since he did not fear death, they discussed it freely. John and some of his sons, they cut a large tree, and from it they hewed a coffin. Absalom said he liked North Carolina and Tennessee equally well. He wanted to be buried in both states. And they buried him astride the line, with his head in North Carolina and his feet in Tennessee. John Stratton, He was born on October 11th of 1799 in North Carolina. He died on July 9th of 1862 in Tennessee. He married Lydia Clark, who was born on January 18th of 1795 in North Carolina. She died on November 9th of 1874, also in Tennessee. They were married on April 16th of 1820. John, he was a captain in the Blount County militia of Tennessee and participated in the Cherokee removal circa 1839. Reportedly, John and Robert Stratton, they came from Monroe County in Tennessee in the 30s, and they settled on the Unaka Mountains between the head of Sassafras Ridge and Santitla Creek. John lived on the Bald for 10 years and caught 19 panthers on Laurel Top, making bacon of their hams and shoulders. Though, he came to this area with nothing but his rifle, a blanket, a skillet, and some ammunition. He did, however, end up making enough money by herding cattle and selling deer, such as deer hams and deer hides, to eventually buy a fine farm in Monroe County in Tennessee. Finally, Robert Stratton, he was born in 1825 in Blount County, Tennessee, and he died on September 4th of 1864 here in Graham County. He married Narcissus Nichols on May 25th of 1845, also in Blount County. He would go on to serve in the 59th Tennessee Infantry Regiment, Company G, CSA. According to records found by a Stratton researcher, Robert moved a few miles from his father's place to a spot called Bob Bald, and there he built a rude hut with a chimney, and he lived there with his wife Narcissus and 8 children. On September 2nd of 1864, he set out to hunt a stray cow, and he carried a new rifle. And Jackson Roberts, he ended up going with him. But as they came down the road through the ball play community in Monroe County, Stratton noticed a paper in the road, and it was a trap. He leaned over to pick it up, and the Kirkland bushwhackers, they killed him with a volley of shots that also wounded Roberts. But Roberts, he managed to hide in a pile of wood. And the bushwhackers, they took Bob's new rifle and left Roberts, who reportedly died 2 days later. And as far as the bushwhackers go, it's an interesting story, but I will let you read this one all on your own time as well. Folks, my time is limited. But here we are at what is called Unicoi Crest. This is essentially the final stop in North Carolina, going west on the Cherohala Skyway. Because in just about half a mile, maybe even a tad bit less, we would be at the Tennessee border. And folks, you know what I said. For this episode, that is a state I must not let my feet touch. However, I will let you, once again, read this sign, because it talks about the Unicoi Range, the mountain range, and how it got named. And once you're done reading this sign, we have another right over here. The National Forest, a land of many uses. And once again, I will let you read this sign. And you can read this sign at your own pace. By the way, the Unicoi Crest, It is at an elevation of 4,470 feet. Yikes, that's high. But that does pretty much sum up the story of Stratton Bald and the Big Junction vicinity. Now, folks, the Cherohala Skyway, it does continue well into Tennessee. But you know how it is. That's for another episode.